Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my Daily Dose with Tim. Today is season 3, episode 33, and it is part 3 of how to execute lease options the right way. And so after the first 2 episodes, I mean part 1 and part 2, today we're going to go into discussing who we can actually help and leverage this strategy for. Okay. And I understand, if you want to be cheeky, it is always for us in a way, because it is, as investors, every single strategy is how we make money. So if you remember from the previous episodes, I've been stressing this a lot, which is your exit strategy determines how you make money and how much money you make. So in the coming episodes for this strategy, likely starting the next one, we're going to start to go into looking at numbers and doing a deal analysis so that you can actually see how money is made with the lease option strategy. And the funny thing is, I've actually gone back to season 1 and season 2, and I noticed that this is actually one of those strategies that a lot of people really, really like and really love and want to learn more and want to execute on it. And yet this is probably one of the strategies that I get the most questions on because it is unconventional. It's tenant first or tenant buyer first usually. And most people think that the process itself is actually very complicated. However, I would argue every single time that a large multifamily BRRRR is definitely a lot more complicated than executing something like this, because right now we're actually just using single family home as a property type to demonstrate the entire principle. However, that in itself makes it such an amazing strategy because we get to really truly help people complete their goals and dreams of home ownership that they otherwise likely would not have achieved or achieved sooner rather than later. And so again, if you remember from part 1, I did mention that this is likely used as what we call an alternative financing solution for people that have been turned away from traditional lending. So that really ties into what we're going to be discussing today as well. And I understand that some of you guys have been messaging me about this, and you said, oh, hang on a second. If you say this is a creative financing strategy, you've also mentioned the fact that creative financing strategy typically is used when you're acquiring a property. And now we're using this as an exit strategy. You are absolutely right. Okay, you're absolutely right. We are using this as an exit strategy, using single family home as our property type to demonstrate the concept. However, as I mentioned, tomorrow I'm actually going to be given another opportunity to share with the Right Club members. And I actually shared this same presentation just about a month ago at the multifamily conference in Toronto with about 500 people in the room listening and watching it. And I'm actually going to be doing a part 2 follow-up of that presentation as well, because I literally leverage lease options as my acquisition strategy to purchase a 144 unit mobile home. That was my very first deal back in the US back in 2013. So we're looking at 10 years ago now at this point. However, this is why I'm so passionate about financial education, because creative financing exists even outside of the real estate world, because by definition, once again, it is simply how money works, how you're putting the deals together and how to leverage all the resources that you possibly can have with technical knowledge. And that becomes a strategy that we call lease options. So coming back here, I don't want to do that big of a loop right now. I'm going to share the link below when after this episode, so you can actually see it in the comments if you want to join in on part 2 of that presentation that I'm mentioning. That's happening next Thursday, which is June 29th. Okay, so coming back here, who can we help? And you might have noticed that I use my green marker on the word help, because one of the quotes that I love as a real estate investor has been one from Zig Ziglar. And he says that if you help others get what they want, you will get everything that you want. And again, I want to be very open and transparent and honest with everybody. It's the fact that when I first learned about this strategy and the earning potential of it was really what caught my attention and made me go, yep, I'm going to focus on this strategy first and get really good at it, because when I do that, I get to help a lot of people And at the same time, I get to create win-win situations where this is profitable for me as an investor. Okay. And so that line really stuck with me. And over time, over the years, I realized that when I look around, the most successful people or the most financially accomplished people are usually the ones that have solved the most number of problem or the most sizable problems in this world. And so I want to make sure that I kind of slip that in there simply because of the fact that, another saying that I really enjoy is from Sir Richard Branson. And he goes, if you're not helping others, you have no point being in business. I mean, I'm not quoting a word for word. However, I really believe in that concept, which is the fact that we are providing solutions. And in this particular case, we are providing solutions to other people's real estate problems. And in this particular case, the problem being they are not able to qualify for traditional lending or a mortgage to purchase a property. Why? Because of what we just went through in the previous episode, which is they are missing either one or all three of the factors required right now. Okay, so the keyword being right now, or keywords. Okay, so let's come back here. Knowing that income, credit, down payment are the three factors that the traditional lenders typically look at, first of all. Second of all three of them have to build a perfect trifecta. Now, can we now start to think about who may be missing one or all three of them? Okay, so that's the question. I want you to start thinking about it, because by really leveraging your own mind to learn and exercise it and stretch it, that's when this information and this knowledge is going to stick with you a whole lot more. Okay, so income, credit, down payment. Who can you think of that might be missing one, two, or all three factors right now? Well, I'm gonna say maybe first-time home buyers. Okay, maybe first-time home buyers. What about immigrants? I'm an immigrant, and I remember I had hell of a time getting my very first mortgage. Okay, so immigrants. What else? Maybe people that are relocating and they need some help getting set up again. Or what about income, credit, down payment? Maybe their debt load is high. Okay, however, their income is also high. They were just a little shocked. Or what about credit history or credit score? We tend to say that credit is that they have a bruised credit or bruised credit history. Okay, so it could be from missed payments, non-payments, or just mismanaged their own credit score because they didn't know any better. And so as a result, we also say the general lack of financial education, or again, lending rules. Okay, so the lack of financial education and income, credit, down payment. Well, that one is easy. Down payment, insufficient. Okay. Whoops, too tight. Insufficient down payment is likely one of them as well. What else? What else can you possibly think of? See, the funny thing though is we also like to say self-employed people is a great group of people. Okay, self-employed. Where do they tend to fall under? They tend to fall under what I would say, income is high. Maybe they don't even have the debt load. Maybe they don't even have the debt load. And maybe they actually even make really good money. However, in my personal experience, and honestly, this is the one group of people that I really, really enjoy working with, just because I can relate. I'm in a way self-employed as an investor. And also, it's the fact that most accountants out there, they're just simply doing their job. They are advising their clients, especially self-employed people, when they are incorporated, to not pay themselves too much. okay, to not pay themselves too much, because the more they pay themselves, the higher the income tax, the personal income tax brackets would kick in. And so on that note, I think that advice is actually decent. At the same time, though, it is maybe not always relevant. And most self-employed people don't actually know how to engage in proper conversations with their accountants in the first place, to be really honest. However, the point is, in this particular case, they may be making good money. However, they're not declaring a lot on paper, which means by the time they go in and try to qualify for a mortgage, this is when they get shocked. I remember one of the very first tenant buyers that I had, he ran a concrete cutting business very successfully. And this is back in 2000, I think early 2012 at this point. And he ran a very successful business. And even at the time, we were able to see on his financial statement for his business that he was grossing about $2.8 to $3.5 million on average. And he had been in business, I believe, for at least 8 years at that point. Okay, I'm just trying to draw my memory now. And so the thing about it is he was completely shocked when he was looking to buy this $750,000 house. He thought, no problem, I make good money year after year, and I've got money sitting in the bank, and I've got all of this and all of that. And yet he was not able to qualify to get a mortgage. And so he was completely puzzled. And long story short, our marketing effort got his attention, and he contacted us, and we walked him through how a lease option program would work and would work for him. And then we started working with his accountant to make sure that he builds himself up to that level as well. Okay, so again, like I said, missing 1, 2, or all 3 factors. Okay, in this particular case, income level was not there. Even though he didn't even really have any personal debt in his name, it didn't matter, because in the lender's eyes, he just simply did not make enough to buy the size of the property that he was looking for at the time. And then another one that we had was actually shortly after that, within a few months. And at that time, I believe that in the lease options world, probably set a record. And this was actually before the BC Vancouver market went completely bananas. So another couple, self-employed also, and their annual revenue was also in the $2-3 million range, and they were looking to buy a $1.2 million house. So this is, again, I think summer 2012, I'm pretty sure. Funny enough, how all these things kind of kept happening around the same time. And I'll share with you in the episodes to come in terms of how I actually found them. So I joke that funny how this happened, and yet it was actually intentional. Okay, so this couple, they also are self-employed. They run their own businesses, and they were making really good money. And in this particular case, they have been in business for themselves for actually, I believe, almost 2 decades now at this point. Okay, and so when they were going to buy their next property, they found out that, oh, same situation. Their actually debt load is too high now against their personal income, because it's not that they didn't have any asset. It's not that they didn't actually own their principal residence. They were just looking to upgrade their principal residence, thinking that, well, we got equity in our house now, our personal credit scores are great, and we got money in the bank too. What's not to like? However, once again, the income factor definitely stopped them from achieving it on their own. And as a result, they had to leverage the lease option program to help them get into it. And so again, you can see now, it doesn't always need to be a really, really horrible situation. We are simply here to offer this as a solution so that it is a bit of a stepping stone. I will say this though, right now, a lease option program or a rent-to-own program is not something that we use to help people get into their final home or their dream home per se. Okay, this is literally a stepping stone. They now are running into challenges with traditional financing or institutional financing. We come in, we buy the property for them first, and we basically leverage this strategy as a seller financing, except that in this particular case, we are the owner and the seller and the investor that's controlling the deal that offers them the alternative financing solution. Okay, so alternative lending solution, alternative financing solution, however you want to look at it. So this is the part where I want to share with everyone is that I think hopefully this really opens up your mind about who your potential clients, as in tenant buyers, can be and will be. And maybe like me, you have a soft spot for immigrants because I was one myself. And maybe you also have a soft spot plus a favorite spot for self-employed people because I am one. And so with that said, everybody is going to focus on different niche. However, don't forget the SMP approach, because the moment you go into a new market, you might find out that, ooh, this market has a lot more self-employed people that might be good tenant buyers. And then you go to a different market, you'll find out, oh, hang on a second, there are a lot more first-time home buyers that will become my tenant buyers. Whatever the case may be, remember the SMP concept and how you can leverage this and start to treat them as building blocks now, okay? And so at this point, I want to share something very quickly because I got a few comments from yesterday as well. Lots of you guys said you love how I actually drew it out, and it gave you an epiphany. It gave you an aha moment, because so many of you are thinking, oh my goodness, that sounds very daunting, having to learn all of this. However, there are steps, there are roadmaps, there are processes that you can follow. So even though I'm advocating learning more than 3 hard strategies and 3 soft strategies, that means 6, all at the same time. By the way, sorry, I'm so used to doing this. I know if you're in Hawaii, this is, oh, aloha. And for me, as an Asian person, this is the number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know, useless information for some of you, or for most of you even. However, 6 different strategies, hard and soft combined. And that seems very daunting. However, it really isn't, and it doesn't need to be. It's just that you don't need to learn all 16 of them all at the same time, okay? And this is also why I may have sound a little flippant with the way I said it. However, this is my true belief. And this is also why I can create and help others create sustainable financial results. I like to say that I want to help real people create real results. This has never been, if you've been following me since season 1, or even just this particular season, starting episode 1, it has never been about collecting properties or collecting doors. This has always been about financial education and how money works first and foremost. My goal is to help you not have to worry about money and see money as a challenge in the next 2 to 5 years. And once that happens, you can do whatever you want. You can start collecting doors as long as you lay in bed at night, sound asleep, and not have to worry about money. That's really the ultimate goal, okay? And so some of you are challenging me and go, hey, Tim, you know what? I'm a busy parent. I have a career and doing this as my side hustle. I'm happy maybe just learning the bird process in distressed properties and then learning how to raise money on the other side, because my personal resources are going to be tapped out pretty soon, okay? However, I'm going to guess, and not to sound flippant with you, you are also the one that's going to hit a ceiling very quickly in terms of how you grow and the performance of your portfolio. And then it's going to be years later before you start learning to pivot. And this is why, again, we always say it doesn't really matter where you are right now in your journey. Get yourself educated properly, okay? Taking single strategies as opposed to a full curriculum very much is like putting on Band-Aids. It's like putting on Band-Aids when somebody's got a 1-2 degree burn all over their back. That doesn't work, okay? We're not spot treating anything. We're not spot treating anything. I mean, this is about money. This is about your hard-earned dollars and your financial future, and maybe even generational wealth that you're looking to create. And so many people are not taking this seriously enough, okay? I know some of you have already paid for courses, maybe done a free seminar, a free online boot camp, or a very cheap one somewhere, and that's totally fine. And that's the starting point, and I applaud you for it. At the same time, though, again, this is why I create the results I create. This is why Trusted Talent creates the results that we create. And I've been in this industry as a trainer mentor for nearly a decade now. And some of you know that I actually came from the Rich Dad program, and I was contracting myself out. And I am literally the most awarded mentor in the entire Rich Dad history when they were running life courses for 26 years. And so there's a reason behind that. And again, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like what I'm saying. However, all I'm hoping is that you are getting value out of everything that I'm sharing with you and some of the perspectives. Okay. So if I'm challenging you and that's making you feeling a little, I'm not sure about what this guy's talking about, that's okay, because that is now me challenging you to go outside of your comfort zone. Because the moment you feel a little unsure and a little shaky and you're feeling that resistance, maybe even anger sometimes, I think I've done my job. Okay. So on that note, thank you very much for all the encouragement, for all the support, for all the feedback, good and bad. I will take it all in. And if you will continue to join me and stick with me, I will do my darndest and my very best to continue to share every single day to help you on your journey in any way possible. So on that note, tomorrow we're going to come back with the next episode, and I'm going to start to go into deal analysis, meaning we're going to start to look at numbers, how we make money, and how we piece it all together. This entire topic, I'm dedicating 10 episodes to it. The next episode is only episode 4. So you can see there's a lot more breadth and a lot more depth that I'm going to go into with everyone. And also, I will post one more time the link for all upcoming events in the comment section so that you don't miss out on anything else that you potentially will learn from. So with that said, have a great rest of the day. Live well, everybody.